Hi, good morning. Welcome to my channel. On a serious note, I'm happy that you've found this channel today. This is mainly dedicated to people that have recently or in the past been diagnosed with cancer. And this is my story. In 2013, I was due to have a baby, and the expected date of arrival for the baby was April the 13th. And that didn't happen. My daughter was born 3 months previous, so she was premature, and she was born January the 7th. To my surprise. Anyway, my waters broke Boxing Day, and I was rushed to hospital, and they managed to delay the birth for 11 days, but warning me at the same time that the chances are she would die because she was too premature. You know, the organs weren't formed and they needed more time. The baby needed more time. It was a very frightening experience all in all. But somehow, intervention occurred. And God obviously took over. January the 7th, 2013, was a very emotional day, and at 8:30 in the evening she was rushed off and placed in an incubator where she stayed for 3 months with me and the father beside her most of the time. During this time, after the 3 months had passed, I noticed that all the other mothers in the hospital were breastfeeding, and they told me that I must try to breastfeed. And I did try, and in the maternity ward, the staff were beautiful, and they were assisting because my daughter was so tiny, attached to many tubes to assist for the breathing and so forth. But I could not breastfeed, and I didn't understand why. I was very frustrated because I couldn't. So shortly after that, they allowed my daughter to leave the hospital, and we did, happily. However, I noticed that I had a lump on my left breast, and I just assumed it was down to the very short pregnancy that I'd had, so I ignored it. And I suppose in the back of my mind I wanted to ignore it because I didn't want any bad news, because we'd just been through an ordeal of life and death, whether my daughter would survive. I finally plucked up the courage to go and have a checkup. And unfortunately, they diagnosed me with breast cancer. And where I'd left it, the lump had got bigger. So, that moment, when you go to the hospital and you have your checkup with the oncologist, there's nothing worse than a stranger looking at you, telling you, "I'm sorry, but it's bad news, you have cancer." And beside me was the pram with this very, very, very small baby in it. And my first reaction to this, it was like he was talking in Japanese. It really was. It was like he was talking another language, because I wasn't registering what he was saying. My first reaction, to be fair, was, why has God done this? Why has God done this to me? For 3 months, I had been praying solidly for my daughter to survive, and I even made a deal with God. And I said, look, and this is really personal, if you allow my daughter to survive, I will do my utmost best, at least let her live until she's 18. Crazy things go through your mind when you're in panic mode. It's not that crazy things go through your mind when you're super, super scared. You'll try everything, absolutely everything. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, my initial reaction was, why would God bless me with a baby, and then she survived, then I finally take her out of the hospital and get home, and then I'm diagnosed with cancer? Anyway, after I had left the hospital, after a lot of thought, I went back. I went back to the hospital after telling everybody, informing the closest family members and things. I accepted it and went back, as you should. And I was told that I had to have the tumour removed immediately. And I was told it was lobular cancer. I hadn't a clue what he was talking about. So I asked him, what's lobular cancer? And lobular cancer really is when it's like it can spread very, very fast. It's like a cobweb cancer. You imagine a cobweb and it's all these little strings everywhere. And that's what the oncologist told me. So that was on February the 4th. You never forget dates like that. And that was on February the 4th. And then he put my operation down for February the 18th. February the 18th. And it was my birthday, February the 18th, and I can't believe I refused. So I said, no, I can't have the operation February the 18th, I have plans. I had plans, and I did. So he put me down for February the 26th, which I felt better in a way because I delayed the operation, and I hadn't had an operation in my life. And I always imagined growing up that the moment the anaesthetic went in, I wouldn't wake up again. So I had this fear, this extreme fear. However, my birthday was great. And February the 26th came, and I had the operation, and I had the tumour of a 2p piece, you could say, removed. And after about 2 days, they advised me, I had to stay in the hospital 5 days, but after the operation, but they did stress to me, do not remove the bandages. Well, you can't say that because the moment you're told something, you go and do it. So I remember on the second day walking into the ward bathroom, and I wanted to see what they had done. So I went to the bathroom and I undid all the bandage. And I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified. Because I was so used to me. I was used to my body. I was used to me. And this wasn't me. This wasn't me. It was a very, very emotional, stressful time. One part of me was thankful that the tumour was out. And there was another part that I felt that I looked like a freak. I think that's the word I would use, looking back. A freak. It wasn't me. So the nurse came in, caught me undoing all the bandages. And she really had to go at me, rightfully so, because I was allowing infection to flow in. So what happened was, after the third day, I was told to go home with the bandages on and so forth. And anyway, getting through this, your mind plays games with you, and you still have to have the strength to keep on going. You're strong for your family. You have to still continue on with your responsibilities. I found myself, with a small baby that needed looking after. And then I was told to come back after I'd healed a little bit, and they advised me that I had to have chemo. Now, I'd heard about chemo, I'd seen many videos, I'd had friends, I had friends that have had chemo. When I was advised to go to another place, because this is where the chemo was taking place. But firstly, I had to turn up and sign and give permission to have 15 sessions of chemotherapy. On my way there, driving there, I felt as though I was being spoken to, not by anybody, by God. It was a very strange feeling. It was very profound, very memorable. I think this is where my spirituality kicked in on that day, going to the cancer clinic to allow chemo to take place. So I found myself in this office with this other medical man. And he put the form in front of me to sign. And he said, "Look, Michelle, if you don't have chemo, you could die. You could die." But I wasn't convinced of what he was telling me. Not because I was fearful of the chemo, not because I didn't want to lose my hair, not because I didn't want to be sick, wasn't that. It wasn't that, because everything I had done along this route, I had my daughter with me, so there she was. I couldn't allow myself to die because she needed me. And I didn't want to die anyway. But for some reason, I told him I wasn't going to sign these papers. And he pushed the form back to me and said, "No, look, I'm telling you, if you don't have the chemotherapy, you can die. In 5 years, you could be dead, or less." And we were toing and throwing, and I was listening, but I kept on thinking about what had happened to me when I was driving to this clinic. And it was like God said to me, "Do not have chemo. You do not need chemo." And I'm even going cold as I'm saying this because I remembered it. I left that office without signing. And some people would say, "No, that was really irresponsible and selfish of you because you have a daughter, you have family." No, because I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. So I remember the journey back home. And I had other family members with me, and there was silence on that journey back home. And they were partly angry and worried. So I refused the chemo, and that's where my spiritual journey started. I had gone to church growing up every Sunday, and as a child. And the only thing as an adult that I couldn't really comprehend was the rules that we all had to sit down in the aisles when we were told to sit down, and we stood up, and then we sat down, and then we stood up, and then we sat down. And then the offering each other the sign of peace. As a child, I was very embarrassed to shake people's hands. But anyway, we do as we're told when we're children. We follow what our parents are telling us to do. But I was very confused with that part. And the other part was, you would shake hands in church, And then you'd see these same people out on the street and they wouldn't even say hello to you. So I found it awfully strange growing up. So it's not that I left the church, it's just that I kind of put it to one side. Anyhow, getting back to spirituality, this is when it came into my life. So there I was with a horrific scar on my left breast and feeling like I looked like a freak, holding a child that was very young and refusing chemo. And my family and friends were judgmental, very worried. So what did I do? Apart from praying and speaking to my guardian angel that has been there since I was born. I think my guardian angel was very bored for many years, following me about, probably laughed a lot, some of the shenanigans I got up to, but my angel came to the forefront when I called out. Because I do believe we're all born with our spirit guides beside us and guardian angels, and you know, and I believe they get bored if we don't ask them to do jobs for us. I believe they do laugh at us and our sense of humour and our quirkiness, and I believe coming to this earth is like coming to school, and we're supposed to learn lessons, and this is one of mine. This is one of my major lessons. So, how was I going to get rid of this cancer? I researched and researched and researched and researched. But I had to have something done. I had to have radiation, you know, because they said, look, okay, you refuse chemo, you can't keep on. You have to have something done. So I agreed to the radiation. And I had to have 30 sessions every single day, Monday to Friday, once the 30 sessions were up. Well, that was absolutely fine. I was quite happy with the radiation. It makes you very tired. Everybody reacts differently, but it does cook you. I mean, cook you. And I found my left breast being cooked. And I thought, oh my God, right, I'm looking worse. And it does. It knocks at your confidence. You know, it does, because you're born and you get used to how you look. And you're a female, especially a female, we're conscious of how we look. And, you know, for a woman that's always received compliments, here I was not feeling confident anymore. So I had the radiation. And I felt brave. I felt very brave. And every radiation session that I had, I spoke to my guardian angel. And I said every single time, come on, stand there, be there, talk to me. Keep me brave and keep me strong. And I used to go to this radiation with my little girl and take my little girl to the reception there. And the nurses got to know my little daughter. And when they used to hear the story of she was only the size of my hand, even they, you know, said, your gods are looking after you, for sure. So where I was confused as to why I felt like I was being punished by God, why bless me with this baby at 43 years of age? Well, that's another story. Because I didn't believe I thought I was on the menopause. So if there's any women out there that get pregnant at 43, it can happen. And it was a miracle. It was a blessing. And it's not something I thought would happen in my life. And no. And I thought, and I spoke to somebody, and I said, no, I think I'm on the menopause, early menopause. And I thought, great, not so bad. And they said, are you sure? Are you sure? I think you should go to the pharmacy and ask for a pregnancy test. Well, 4 days later, I thought perhaps my friend, had a point. So I did. And that was it. I found out I was expecting a baby, which I believe God blesses you with children. You know, Yeah, that's another section. But anyway, let's get back to the cancer. And if I can help anybody today, anybody, whether that's male or female, and the initial shock of being told you have cancer, and the acceptance, and the anger, and the rejection, and the thoughts, and you really do feel alone. Everybody's talking to you, but you're not registering what they're saying. You are, but you're not. And you wake up in the morning, you think, I feel as though I've been invaded. My life has been invaded. But you have to be strong. You have to be strong. And really, it's throughout fear that we reach out. We reach out and we look for our spirituality. We go to church. We pray to God constantly, where normally we take God for granted because we get on with our day and we take things for granted. And but anyway, during my research with this cancer, I found online, so if this can help anybody, you can try. I found online a natural remedy for me, and it was called soursop. And this is grown in the Amazon, Brazilian forests, and it's like a fruit, and they're little trees. Anyway, so I read about, about this soursop, and then again I was guided. I was absolutely guided. So I ordered 6 months supply. And I've actually recommended it to other cancer patients, and they've been taking it. And true success. They've healed. Anyway, so I took this soursop, and it did me the world of good. It kind of replaced for not having the chemotherapy. But please, don't take my word for it. Speak to your doctor. I wouldn't like you to do what I did and, refused chemo and stuff, because what worked for me might not work for you. So seek advice. So after the radiation, my thoughts changed so many times, and I thought many times, what if my life was over? What would I do differently? What could I do for my daughter? Do I want to live how I'm living? There's something about that saying, live today like it's your last day. When you have a life-threatening illness, and after you've recovered, especially, that's when all those thoughts kick in. Are you really happy? Is this who I want to be with? Am I happy with my home? Do I want to live somewhere else? What do I want to achieve? What's my legacy? What am I going? So many thoughts cross your mind. And I personally changed quite a few things. My address, I changed, and working with animals, I changed. I wanted to always work with animals, and I did. I relocated. I actually removed quite a few people from my life that I felt that were not suited to me. Many things. So after that, it's the passage of reconstruction. That's if you want to go that route. And again, you're not guaranteed any results. You're putting yourself into the hands of doctors again, and I did have reconstruction because I felt that, it was for me, it wasn't for anybody else. I couldn't bear looking at myself in the mirror, and that's the truth, I couldn't. So after 3 attempts, 3 operations, they tried to fix what they could, It was either that or remove totally, but I guess you want to save what you still have. But, getting back to spirituality, it's amazing how you can face your fears head on And spirituality does... I just thought of something. That I remember very well. And what happened was, I still wasn't convinced. I thought I was going a bit do-dally, to be honest with you. I thought, here I am talking to angels. I needed proof. I needed validation. I needed proof. I wasn't even telling people that I was talking. My guardian angel actually became a good friend of mine. How could you share that story with anybody during that time? Well, I didn't. So I wanted validation. So I asked the night before, I said, look, I need proof that I'm talking to someone and someone's listening. I need to know that my guardian angel is there. I need to know that you're there. So I asked to see a red balloon blown up. You have to be really specific, and I was. And I wanted to see a red balloon blown up physically, not on a picture, not on a poster, not on Facebook, not on a mural on a wall. I wanted to physically see a blown up red balloon in the morning. I wanted to see it before 10 a.m, so that's how specific I was. And the next morning, I was walking, and I do get up every morning very, very early, and what did I see? What did I see? A red balloon. I won't say where I saw it, but it was in the most surprising place. And I couldn't believe it. Now some would say, oh, that's just a coincidence, Michelle, you can't. No, it wasn't a coincidence, because the sensation I felt, tears came out of my eyes, because that's when I really knew. And this was real. And that's another episode completely, because since then I haven't stopped, experiencing spirituality to the point where there's goosebumps. Not silly things, like goosebump stories. That's another episode altogether. So I tend to be surrounded by people that believe more, about spirituality and the unknown, you could say, and the afterlife, and it's amazing how having cancer can change you, and we're all so strong. We're so strong. We underestimate ourselves. We are so strong. And to you women, girls out there that, I know it's great to look good. I know it's good, when you're growing up, you think you're invincible. You do. When I was growing up in London, I used to enjoy singing. And there was this studio in the centre of London that had just opened. And I got the opportunity to sing there. Well, attempt to sing. And it was called The Groovy Kind of Love by Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders. And Phil Collins actually sung it many years later. But before Phil Collins had brought it out, Wayne Fontana, the guitarist, had asked me to try and attempt. I put myself down. I was quite good back then, to sing Groovy Kind of Love. Well, anyway, I was in there. I was only 17, and I was in there attempting to sing this song. And this man walked in, and I thought he was to do with the studio setup. He wasn't. He was the editor of the reputable newspaper called The Sun. Yeah, right. So we got talking, and that's when he told me he was the editor. I won't say his name, but he offered me a job. And being 17 and naive and excitable, and he asked me if I wanted to be a model for The Sun on page 3. And during that time we had Samantha Fox and Linda Lusardi. They were the... Anyway, so I was asked. I was absolutely horrified. But looking back on that, and I didn't take the job, but looking back on that now, he obviously asked me because he probably thought I was, I would have, I would have been good for that shot, that glamour shot. A girl never reigns for long. We don't. We don't. That's a natural progression. We don't reign for long. So don't think you're invincible, all right? And I mean that in a sincere way. Try to value, not, okay, look, it's great to look good. We put our makeup on, we want to look our very best, especially when you're young and we're single and we don't have children and life is carefree. Yes, good, enjoy it. But use this too. Please, use this as well. Use this as well. Don't mess up. They say youth is wasted on the young. Don't mess it all up. Don't appreciate what you're blessed with. Surround yourself with honest people. Listen to the advice from older people. Listen to your family. And try not to trust. Don't be guided to go the wrong direction. I know it's easy to say this. It's like putting old head on young shoulders, but you know, it's great. It's great being young, but please be careful. Listen to what the elders have to, listen to their stories, and be sensible. Be sensible, especially when you go out. Be sensible. Because I don't know why, but you know, I look at my little girl that's not quite there yet to have all this freedom out on the street. But I'm digressing again. But anyway, getting off that subject. It's another topic, isn't it? But this is dedicated to any men, any women that are diagnosed with cancer today, or in the past. There is a future for you. You do come out of it stronger. You do know who your friends are. Make your choices. Do what you feel is right for you. Research soursop. It's called platinum soursop. You can research that on Google. Yeah, you come out stronger. You know, sometimes there's a silver lining in everything, and it certainly can humble you. And it makes you more determined to follow your dreams. You know, don't postpone anything. And live today like it's your last. Appreciate everything, including your body. Anyway, I hope I've helped, you know, with my little experience. I could go on and on and on and on, but say your prayers. There is a guardian angel there beside you. I'll probably be criticised for saying that, but nobody can tell me there isn't one beside me, because there is. And I'm thankful my daughter is here today, and I'm thankful that I got over my cancer. And feel free to reach out to me. You can email me if you need any advice whatsoever. And please like, share and subscribe to my channel. It's called The Uneducated Motivator. And I'm motivating people today to realise, apart from listening to your own thoughts and listening to your own advice, there's life. There's life after cancer. Maybe a better life. See you again. See you next time. Take care.